And the first time I saw him, I saw his eyes, I knew that I knew him in a past life, even though I didn't believe in past lives.
I've wanted to do a past life regression for a really long time. I was just nervous because I just didn't want to see a really terrible death.
I see stone walls of a castle. Suddenly, the soul of D, the knight, shoots me with an arrow in my chest, and my soul rises above my body, and I'm floating up.
The fact that you just felt relief as soon as you experienced these moments is just so profound. Welcome to the Curious Soul Podcast. I'm Cristina Malavenda.
And I'm Marty Go. We're two best friends exploring the deeper meaning of life
and the moments that connect us all.
Hi, Cristina.
Hi, Marty.
How are you doing today?
I am so pumped up because we are finally getting to start this podcast, The Curious Soul, and have these incredible conversations about the meaning of life and how we're all connected and all these really big concepts that are actually really exciting for, I think, me and you.
Yes, I'm so excited because honestly, these are conversations that you and I have almost every single day, except now we're going to do it for the world. And people can tune in and watch us talk about the things that we are so passionate about. So it's huge.
So what do we get to start talking about today?
Okay, so this is one of my biggest obsessions, and it's called a past life regression. Have you ever heard of a past life regression?
100%, but from you.
Okay, so of course. All right, so I'm going to tell people what a past life regression is if you've never heard of it. Okay, so it's a therapeutic technique using hypnosis to access alleged memories of previous lifetimes, aiming to resolve current emotional, physical, or spiritual issues. Yeah, so you said you heard it first from me?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So remember when we did the PowerPoint presentation night, which sounds so lame.
Oh my God, yes.
But it was
yes.
absolutely phenomenal. And some were about whale sharks and even Greek yogurt and how that changed somebody's life. But yours was about past lives. But what was so amazing is that because you're an actor, you came out of the kitchen with a blanket on your head and a candle, and you were so committed to bringing us into this narrative about what past lives are, and gave examples of a little boy who remembered being, I believe, a flight navigator or somebody in World War II, and all the evidence that proved that the details that he was giving were accurate, and there was no way for him to have known that information unless it was a past life. But it was just, and we got to hear your past life. And so today we get to hear about those experiences that you've had with past life. And I think so many people listening are going to learn so much from your experiences, because I have too. But with that moment where I learned about it, I always kind of knew, I'd heard about past lives, but I just didn't understand them and how they worked. And I think that's what's really interesting about hearing your stories, because I think we're going to not just hear about the surface of a past life, right? Because past life, it sounds like you're just born again, but there is a reason, and there's patterns, and there's things that we can learn from it. And I think that you've definitely healed from it. So I'm just so excited to go through your stories again. And also, I've had my first past life regression in the past year, so I'm excited to share that as well.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to hear all about it. Yes, past life regressions was a very big no-no where I come from, where I've been raised to, which I'll get into more as we go into my story. But as I dig deeper into the research behind all of this and the things that are undeniable, it has changed my life. And I'm so excited for our audiences to hear our experiences on it. They're very, very personal. And the biggest reason I want to tell people about it is because it has made my life so much easier and relieved so much of the pressure and the stigma that I felt inside. And I feel like if I could just help others with that, then hell yeah. Then I feel like I'm living my life's purpose. But before we get into that, I would like to learn more about you, Cristina, and your life. And so is it okay if I read your bio real quick so people know who they're listening to at the moment.
Yeah.
So Cristina is one of my best friends, if not my bestest friend, and she is an Emmy award-winning filmmaker. She's the author of Get Tapped In and a podcast host whose work explores intuition, spirituality, and the deeper truth that we are all connected. And through storytelling, conversation, and personal experience, she invites people to look at the signs in their lives with more curiosity, meaning, and trust.
Oh, thank you, Marty.
Love you.
Love you. If only I could read your bio as wonderfully as you read mine. Marty is a director, producer, and podcast host and a graduate of USC Film School. Her film Black as Night earned a NAACP Image Award nomination for Best Director, which was so well deserved. And her latest film, Gaslit by My Husband, climbed to #1 on Netflix and held a spot in the top 10 for several weeks, which is so amazing. Marty is now exploring the intersection of storytelling and spirituality with a deep curiosity for the unseen. She is exploring the mysteries of consciousness, connection, and purpose, inviting audiences to question what lies beyond. You definitely want to help people find their purpose, which is so, like, you're just such a loving, wonderful person. And so I'm
Aw,
just
I
so
love
grateful to be
you.
doing this with you.
Same. I feel exactly the same way about you. So, let's get into it. All
Yeah.
right.
So let's start with your first. I mean, I believe that your first past life has to do with the specific one that you talked about on PowerPoint presentation night. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. I might have blacked it out, but I remember who I talked about, the boy. But as for me, I don't think I had a past life regression until like
N-
years later.
No,
So,
you
did I
talked.
talk about mine?
Yes, because
I can't
you
remember.
described the space that you were in as Game of Thrones, as like the Red
Oh my
Wedding from
god,
Game of
yes.
Thrones.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so let me just go first to what was happening in my life at the time for me to even consider doing a past life regression. So I grew up super Catholic. Those are things you do not talk about, do not think about, because in Catholic religion there's one life, one God, one that's it. There's heaven and there's hell. For me, it's a huge sin to even think about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I was just finishing film school. I was completely lost, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know if I wanted to become a filmmaker because how the hell would I make money? How am I going to support myself? I was in a relationship for over 4 years. I'm just going to call him A, who you know. He was my ex-boyfriend who I was with for 4 years. He was an amazing, amazing person. And the first time I saw him, I saw his eyes, I knew that I knew him in a past life, even though I didn't believe in past lives. I just knew that I knew him from before. And our relationship was great. It was
Mm.
awesome. Like, he was loved by all of my friends, all of my family. Everything was great in our relationship. And while I was at film school, I met this other person who I'm going to name D. Okay. Horrible. So we have this very tumultuous beginning where I'm living with A and D comes into the picture. And I felt this uncontrollable pull to go to D. The crazy part is D was not a good person. He
Mhm.
was a very selfish, self-centered, I would say narcissistic and abusive person. And I could see that, but for some reason my intuition, my pull was like, you have to be with him. Like, the pull was so strong that I had to leave my current relationship at the time. And when I did that, my whole world exploded. I had to move out of my apartment. I moved in with D, who had a horrible apartment. It was disgusting. Um, my family was like, "What the F are you doing? This person is horrible and A is amazing. What are you doing?" And I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know, but I have to go. I have to do this." And I kept thinking, like, it felt like I was like in an ocean, like a wave that was pushing me out into another planet that I could not control. And I was doing like crazy dumb things and just like throwing my life away basically because everything with A was like planned out. Like, we were going to get married, we were going to be happy, everything was going to be perfect. But I just could not help myself and go to this person. So then I had this very abusive relationship with him, and my sister was like, "I'm gonna disown you from our family if you continue with him." And I was like crying all the time because I was so depressed and filled with anxiety because I had just blown my life away, basically, to be with this person who was treating me like crap. He would call me all sorts of horrible names, and I'm like, why do I want to be with this horrible person? Anyway, the whole thing ended very terribly, and I ended up moving out of that apartment with him and all by myself, very, very depressed, anxious, and had no direction.
Yeah.
And I had heard about past life regressions and on a podcast, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna get one done." And I had heard of this psychic named Deborah, who we're actually gonna have on the show soon, and I'm so excited. And she does the hypnotizing. She does these past life regressions. And so I did it, and it consisted of me laying on this table, and she put all these, like, different crystals all over my body. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the most woo-woo thing ever," but anyway, I just went with it, and I was just like, "Okay, if this is gonna help me figure out what's going on with my life, I'll do it," you know? She starts taking me back into this hypnotic kind of, um, mindset, and I'm going deeper and deeper, and, like, my mind is completely aware, but my body feels so heavy I can barely move it. And my intention for the whole thing, I said, "Why is this happening? Why did I throw away this amazing relationship to be with this person? Tell me why." I just wanted to see that.
Yeah.
So the first thing she took me back was a memory in my current life when I was a child. And it was a moment when I was about 3 years old, and I'm in the garage in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my dad's holding a hammer, and he's closing the garage door, and he hits me on the head, and I was only 3 years old. And even though he did it on accident, I felt like he did it on purpose because throughout my life, my dad has been really abusive,
Mm.
and I always felt like a part of him wanted to hurt me, and I did not know why. And in that moment, I could see it replay in my mind's eye of that moment, and I literally saw an angel in the garage with me, and the angel was holding a bag, and it was flying, and it looks purple and pink, and it was shimmering and flying. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And Deborah was like, "Sometimes angels look like cartoons," and I'm like, "Yeah, this does not look real." And as a child, I had put my heart into this bag because of what the pain that my father has gone through, and I wanted to give a piece of my heart to him because of all the pain that he'd gone through. And she said, "You can take that piece of heart, your heart back, and you can see that that angel's been holding it for you, but it's time for you to take your heart back and experience the love that you deserve." And I was like, "I don't understand what that means, but okay, let's just keep going." So then we went deeper and deeper, and it was so crazy. She goes, "Okay, now we're gonna go into the tunnel." I see a tunnel, literally like, your most stereotypical tunnel of light. And we're going through it, and I'm going really, really fast. And as we slow down, I see stone walls of a castle. And get this is the craziest part. Deborah could see everything that I was seeing in my mind, which was
That
it was crazy.
that's
She
what's
was
crazy.
seeing it.
Yeah.
Yes. So we come up to this castle, and she's like, "Oh, I'm there, and I see myself, but I'm a man. And I'm a white guy with hair that's almost similar to this, like, but it was here, and it was coarse black hair. I had a mustache and a beard, and I was a knight. And I could see I was wearing like a maroon, really like wool thing with a knight's guard, and I had a sword and chainmail over it. And I could hear music, going on inside the castle, and she's like, "You hear the music?" I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Let's go inside." So I go inside the castle, and just like you said, it looked like Game of Thrones, basically. Fire sconces all over the walls, long tables with people eating. It was all boisterous. Everyone's like laughing and eating, and music's playing. And I see at the front of the room this woman with really long brown hair and this greenish bluish dress. And I zoom into her, and I see her face and her eyes, and I know that this is the soul of A, my first boyfriend, the boyfriend that I'd been with for 4 years. I
Mhm.
knew it was his soul, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love you, I miss you. There you are." And so I started experiencing us being in love, and we were secretly having this affair. She was, like, of higher class, I was a lowly knight, and she was the daughter of somebody who was higher power, and we could not be together, and so we were sneaking around the castle and kissing and loving each other, and there was a knight who was the soul of D, okay? And he was his job was to watch us and to make sure that we were not together. So we were hiding from him. He was
Yeah.
taller, he had dark black hair, almost like a mullet cut, and he was following us. And we had decided, we skipped forward in time, and the woman and I decided that we would run away together. And so we run away to this cabin in the woods, and this is crazy because I'm experiencing life as a man, and we're making love, and we're kissing each other. And I'm physically crying in real life because I could feel how much I loved her and how much I did not want to leave her and how forbidden it was for us to be together. And then we hear people coming. So we'll go outside and we're running through the woods because we see men on horses with a carriage. And we're running through the woods and kissing and crying and kissing and crying. And then suddenly the soul of D, the knight, shoots me with an arrow in my chest. And my soul rises above my body and I'm floating up and I see her, the soul of A, getting taken away in the carriage. It was crazy. But in that moment, I understood why in this life I had to experience that loss again. It was the evening of all of these feelings of getting abandoned, of loving someone so much, being ripped away from them, and having to deal with that. And so, in a weird way, we both got ripped out of each other's life by the soul of D. And from that experience, I literally was able to, like, let go and understand that this all had purpose, that the suffering and the evening out of the karma was complete, and that I could then move on to my next relationship, my current relationship with my husband, and be happy and fulfill my new purpose in life, which is filmmaking, and now he's my partner, and we have a baby, and we're so happy, but that was, like, such a horrible experience that led to, I would say, my awakening in a way. So that was my first past
Yeah.
life regression.
Can we can we just talk about 2 things about that? Because
Yeah,
one, it's so interesting because I think even when you were with A, you were really looking to have a relationship with somebody who was in the same industry that you
yeah,
could work and collaborate with, and that's what you ended up ultimately having, like, this amazing
yes.
relationship with somebody that you could work with in such a really beautiful way.
And it was also modeled after, like, because I saw you and Sean, your husband, and how you guys have such a beautiful partnership and your goals are aligned, and I wanted that too.
Oh,
So, yeah,
thank you, Marty. And
love
I
you.
think that led you to that place, but I think what's also really interesting is that when Brody, your husband, was having his bachelor party, how, nobody
Yes.
had seen A in, like, years, and again, A is a wonderful person, like, we all so care about him,
Yeah.
right? And at the bachelor party, nobody had seen him, and all of a sudden, he appeared.
Okay, so this is
So,
crazy.
yeah,
Let's take it back just a little bit because I think it ties into our connections and
yeah,
the stories and the storylines that we need to complete to move on. Okay, so this is crazy. Right before I'm about to marry Brody, I just have a feeling in my mind, in my heart. I'm like, I'm gonna see him again. I'm gonna see A again, or Brody's gonna see A, but something needs to be complete and it's going to happen. So yeah, just like you said, Brody had a bachelor party. Hadn't seen him in years, maybe almost what, 8 years? All
oh
of a
my
sudden, A is at the bar that Brody is having his bachelor party with all of our friends that we had mutual, like your husband was there and all these other mutual friends to run into him. And in that moment, I knew it was kind of like, this is where we're going to cut it off. This is the part where we say, we are complete. I'm happy. He's moved on. I moved on. And now we can go forward and be complete and happy. So that was, I mean, it's just crazy. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
remember you called me and you're like, "This couldn't be scripted any more perfectly." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I know." It's just so
Yes.
we haven't seen him since. We didn't see him before, but it was like a closing of a loop.
It is. It is. I mean, life is crazy like that. And I think it's like if you're looking for that and you're able to connect with that part of you and you're able to say, "Hey, I want to complete this drama. Please help me." I think it's totally possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to tell you about two other regressions that have like kind of influenced my life as well. And I just want to tell people like these regressions are like therapy to me. I can't say with 1,000% accuracy that this is completely real, but I don't understand how my brain could ever create something so realistic and also be attached to so much emotion and has helped me more greatly than this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So my second regression was with Robert Schwartz, who we're also going to meet on the show, and it's so exciting to meet him. He is not psychic, so he didn't see it as in his mind's eye like Deborah did. But the second one, I wanted to know. So I've had like crushing anxiety and depression growing up because of the abuse, and I've kind of buried it, and I wanted to learn how to release that, right? And I had, like, a deep self-hatred, and I don't know why. I never understood why I would say in my head, like, "Marty, you're so effing dumb. I hate you. I hate you. I'm so" I didn't know where it came from, but I would do it, and it would make me just so depressed. And
Mhm.
I was like, "It's time for me to let this go. I wanna understand what the root of it is." Now I can understand in this life why it would, but I thought I had like, healed all that stuff, I'd done a lot of therapy to, like, heal from that abuse. So I wanted to go deeper. Where else is it coming from? So I go into this regression with Robert Schwartz. Same kind of thing, but he's not, seeing what I'm seeing. And he takes me through the hypnosis and I come through the tunnel. And this time it was in the 1800s and I'm a white woman and I have a bun and I'm really slight and skinny wearing like this beautiful Victorian dress. And I have um, a lamp and I'm running through a crop of corn and I'm just running and running and laughing, and I'm chasing 2 children, my children, through this farmland. And as I'm running, I just remember thinking, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with my family. I feel so good. And I see my husband, and he looked like a Quaker. He was wearing like one of those black outfits, like in those weird hats that you'd see on Thanksgiving. And he was saying that he has to leave town. And he was like in exporting. That's what I understood, that he was like an exporter and he had to leave and he was going to be gone for a while. So the next scene that I see, I'm in this mansion. It's our mansion. It's beautiful, beautiful home. I'm rich. I've got like wallpaper, nice wallpaper, these beautiful spreads of like tables. And I'm wearing this really long white nightgown. And my children have gone to sleep. And all of a sudden, I see a giant black man enter the house. And I understood that he was a slave, our slave. And this is something I would never create in my mind. Why would I would never create
No
this in
way.
my mind.
Mm-mm.
He comes in and he starts touching me everywhere, and then he rapes me, and I'm crying, and finally, when he's done, he leaves, and I get my children, and we run outside, and it's morning now. We're running outside, and I see this, like, very old vehicle, like one of the first ever Fords, those black
Yeah,
vehicles that are like it's literally like one of the first ever vehicles, and I
I
see
remember.
that, and I'm screaming for it to stop, and this guy comes out, and he's just like this old white dude. He brings me back, and I'm holding my children and crying, and I tell the man what happened. Well, after I told him, he and the townspeople take the slave, the black man, and they murder him.
Mm.
And all I can see, and I think this was, like, almost metaphorical, I could see the blood all over my hands and all over me, and in real life, I start bawling uncontrollably, and I said, it's my fault, I killed him, I shouldn't have told anyone, I killed him." And the deep, deep hatred inside of me started to release, and I understood why I hated myself so much. It's because I felt that I had murdered this man and that he didn't deserve it, even though he did what he did. I had caused his death.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I released self-hatred in this current life. Isn't that crazy?
No, that's absolutely crazy. I think the thing is that you're getting so much emotion from these experiences and it's so detailed. It's like the what you're wearing, what you're experiencing, all these things that you're seeing, it's so visual.
Yeah,
And I want to hear your next story because it took me a long time to realize that everybody goes into these experiences and can sense things differently. So some people see
yeah.
things, some people uh, see colors. I
Or
think because
hear things, yeah.
I think because we're filmmakers, maybe we're accessing this stuff through visuals because of
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. I think that in my mind's eye, I see things more like a movie. I don't think I hear things, I don't remember hearing things, it's more of like, seeing them and then knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then after, the second one, I was like, "Man, if I can, like, heal things about myself in this current life, I wanna keep healing what's inside of me." Like, think about any sort of trauma or pain inside of you, and you can heal it. So, the next thing I wanted to kind of understand or heal was this crazy, insatiable want to succeed at filmmaking. It almost felt like
Mhm.
a sickness inside of me. Like I was like, I need to succeed. I need to succeed. And if I don't succeed, I'm failing. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die a failure. It was like a loop. And the way that I felt about becoming a filmmaker was like almost like suffering. It
Yeah.
was a suffering inside of me. And I wanted to understand why I felt this so much and how I could just be happy with the things that I was doing. It was never enough. Never, never, never enough. Um, and so I did the third one, and it was with Robert as well. And in that lifetime, I went through the tunnel once again. And once I came to the tunnel, I saw it looked like the Middle East. It was dry grass everywhere. Really not middle I forget where it was, but it just looked like tall grass, dried grass, and it was golden. And I was wearing like these slippers, like with the thong slippers, and I had long hair that was brown, but it was like goldened by the sun. And I remember thinking, this is in Jesus times. I don't know exact year, but it just felt like this is Jesus times. And I'm all alone, and I'm like, "Okay, what about this lifetime is exciting? Because 'Cause I'm all alone, and I have a whole flock of sheep, and I'm tending to them, and I'm literally around nobody. And I see this tent, and I'm eating with these crude, utensils,
Mm.
and I just feel this extreme loneliness. And so he transports me to, like, my childhood. What about this lifetime? What was your childhood? And I see myself that I was born an orphan and I was in an orphanage and I did not have parents and I was poor. And after the orphanage, I had like run away and I'm like in the streets begging for food. And there was one older woman who was kind to me and opened her door and she would throw bread at me like I was a dog. But I was so appreciative that she like could see me or cared about me. And so I would eat and I just feel so happy that someone would see me. And as I grew, I knew that I could not trust people. I didn't like people because they would hurt me. And so I spent a lifetime away from communities because I didn't want to feel the pain of being rejected. And one day, as I'm alone with my sheep, these two soldiers come towards me, and I think they look like Roman soldiers, I guess. They had red plumes, and they're wearing their silver knight stuff. And they start accusing me of murdering someone. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't murder anyone. And they're like, they're accusing me. They're accusing me. Then they both take me and they tie me up with rope and they drag me into, like, it's like this city and it's all like stone, and they put me inside this jail and they're forcing me to admit to a murder that I have not committed, and they start torturing me. And I remember they were hurting me and I'm bleeding everywhere and I'm crying, but they still won't accept the answer that I didn't do anything. And outside the jail, I see this woman and her daughter, and they're looking at me, and I'm so embarrassed because they think I'm disgusting and that I'm a criminal, yet I've done nothing. And time passes, and I'm alone, and they're still torturing me to try to get me to answer to something I did not do. And I remember feeling this complete despair because I had wasted my life. I had lived a life of nothingness with no people, no relationships, no goals attained, nothing. My life was nothing.
Hmm.
And I knew in that moment that my soul decided that if I were ever to get an opportunity to again, I would make something of my life.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got out of that jail, I was put, this man found me, and a young man, he was probably, I don't know, like 18 or something like that. And I remember being in this tent and he made a fire and the fire was going up through the middle and the smoke was coming up. And I'm on my bed, on this bed that he had made for me on the floor, and I'm dying. My body is so crippled because of the abuse and the trauma of what the soldiers did. And this young man is caring for me, and I'm telling him how much I've wasted my life, and I wish that I had done more to help others to accomplish more. I also understood that this person who was helping me is a current person in my life who gave me the opportunity to make my first movie, and that we had made a soul contract to agree to help each other become something in this life, which is so crazy. But then I understood the need, the want inside of me to become something more than what I've lived before, which is a life of nothingness. I'm going to accomplish great, great, great things in this life, and I finally understood it.
And how
Yeah.
did you feel after?
I felt release. I think the suffering of what I was experiencing before lifted off. I still want to impact people in a positive way through my work, through my movies, through this podcast. But it's not a suffering in a way that makes me feel like I'm failing. Like
Wow.
I can do things and feel good about it instead of this is not enough. This is not enough. It's like, yes, if I can help people through my work, I feel satisfied. And it totally changed my life.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
incredible that these regressions have helped you so much in such a powerful way. And I think that it offers us a lot of insight, but the fact that, like, you just felt, like, relief as soon as you
Yeah.
experienced these moments is just so profound, and it wasn't just one, it's been multiple,
Yeah.
multiple.
Yes. So I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to maybe solve anything in their life. I think that there's so much to learn, and I think that we come into these lives with maybe unresolved traumas, lessons that we continue to bring on to each and every new life to then resolve. And when we can do that, I think it's almost like reaching a new level in a video game. You're like,
Yeah,
"Okay, what's the next lesson? What's the next thing I can learn?" And okay, so I know you've done a past life
yeah.
regression, and I'd love to hear yours.
So, the thing is that it was hard for me to really comprehend the process of it and also understand intention before I actually did mine and then heard your stories again, because I've heard your stories multiple times, and every time I hear them, it's so wonderful because they're so cinematic and such detail, and I love the way that you tell them. I've wanted to do a past life regression for a really long time. It's just they tend to be really expensive. And they also take a while to do. So I just didn't have the time. I didn't want to spend the money. And I had met a friend who had done an individual past life regression with Yaroon David, who is going to be on the show as well. And she saw online that he was going to do a group regression. So I said, perfect. And I also started to really go deeply on this journey that I'm on now. So I was like, I need to do this past life regression and experience what it's like. And so as we start to go into the regression, Yaroon asks, is anybody here nervous? And I go, yep, me. And there was like only one other person. And I was just nervous because I wasn't sure what I was going to see. And yes, I've heard that your higher self only shows you what you're ready for, but I just didn't want to see a really terrible death.
Yeah.
Because my whole life I felt connected to certain things that just felt like they came from somewhere. They must have been a past life, right? And I
Yeah.
just didn't want to see some of those things. And so I decided to set an intention to see a loving relationship. So we go through these visualizations, and one of the visualizations was leading us a little bit more into this past life. Like he
Mhm.
goes, now imagine a home. And all of a sudden, I see a home in like the Carolinas, probably like South Carolina. It's a big house with a wraparound porch, like tall swaying grass, nobody around. There's a swing hanging from the tree with a rope that gave me the
Oh.
creeps. And I go he prompts us to go into the house because everything's prompted. That's what allows us to see these things and to know what to move on to next.
Uh-huh.
And so I go into the house and it feels very much like the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. The house is very dimly lit. It's wooden. The kitchen is small. You could see like a fridge that's kind of small and old. I go up the stairs to a bedroom and the bedroom has green wallpaper and like very delicate patterns. And then
Oh, wow.
he guides us to create a door in a wall and walk out of that wall. And so I walk out, and then now I'm going through a tunnel.
Hmm.
And there's many of times that I do meditations and I'll open a door and I end up at the beach in South Florida where I'm from because that's my magical place.
Uh-huh.
And when I come out of the tunnel, I'm at the beach, but it's not the same beach that I'm from. It feels much more like the Carolinas,
Uh-huh.
the dunes and the sand and like the different type of grass in the area. And I see that I'm having a picnic. There's like a red and white checkered blanket and a picnic basket. And I could see the bathing suit that I'm wearing. It's like a thick bathing suit that crosses in the back. And everything's very detailed, you know? So
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
cinematic.
Very visual.
And he goes, now pick up your arm and look at yourself. And I pick up my arm and I'm black. And I see that I'm with a man and he has curly hair and he's white. And I know that he's my husband in this life.
Oh, wow.
And it's like how you would always say that you know, right? It's
Yeah.
just like you know, it's
Yeah.
the sense. And I'm living in a shack by the beach. It's like a one-bedroom shack. I could see the bed on one side. I see like the refrigerator, the sink. It's not in the wall. It's like jutting out of the wall. It's like a big
Yeah.
kind of like bin, so to speak,
Yeah.
or like a tub. And there's like a little table that fits me and my husband, and at the time it's a boyfriend. And we're young, we're probably like 20, but very much in love.
Mm.
And then I see myself cleaning a hotel and I'm very
Oh,
happy.
wow.
Every moment's very happy.
Mm.
And then we're prompted for a milestone. I see myself graduating. Then I see myself getting married to my husband, but it's a very
Mm.
small ceremony. It's just the two of us and the person officiating the wedding. And then the next milestone, which is like the most vivid, I'm giving birth. I give birth to this beautiful, big, crying
Oh.
baby. And it's just so detailed.
Oh my god.
And um, and then Yaroon asks us to zoom out and look at our whole life. And I see my childhood, I see myself with my parents, I'm on a bike. And the sense that I get is that I had a really happy life. What I knew, like from seeing the bathing suit and like the picnic basket and the checkered blanket, is it felt like at first it was the 1950s, but then when I started doing research on the bathing suit, I realized it was the 1940s. And I did research on
Oh my
Like,
god, I wanna see
could we get
those
married at
pictures.
that time? And no, but that's probably why we had, like, a very small ceremony. And it feels almost, like, not real, but it's so detailed and
Yeah,
so specific, and the more I started thinking about it, it makes so much sense. For my entire life, I've felt this sense that justice, tolerance, that differences make us beautiful, that those
yeah,
things were so important to who I am, and
yeah,
that message is something that I want to spread to the world. And
yeah.
so it made sense that if I was in this relationship, this type of relationship, especially at
Mhm.
that time in the 1940s, that it's something that's so important to me and that I understand, like,
Yeah,
such a deep level that
absolutely.
has just been so ingrained for me from, like, the moment, like, I have memories. And
Totally agree.
so, one of the things, though, and we won't get to this in this episode, we're gonna have somebody on talking about time, and also in between lives, which is a little bit of a different concept,
Mhm.
past lives. But my big question was, wait a second. If this was the 1940s, I was 20. Oh, I actually saw my death and my husband was there and we were old. And if that's the case, the math doesn't add up. Like, how was it the 1940s? I was in my 20s and then I died old and then I was born in the 1980s in this life. To me, it confused me. And so I asked Sharoon after the regression, like, how could that be? And he said that time is a human construct.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
wait a second. So now I'm on this journey to try to, like, comprehend what does that even mean? And then the next past life I did, that timeline got even more
Yes.
more crazy. And so
Yes.
I feel like it's so interesting what you for me, like, I didn't go in with a specific thing that I wanted to heal. I just went in with the first one, like, a loving relationship because I was scared. But for this
Yeah.
next one, it was like what my higher self wants to show me. So you can
Yeah.
go in with so many different types of intentions. Like, even after my regression, everybody going around the group talking about what their experience was and what their intention was
Yeah.
so fascinating because they all had these different intentions and what they saw was so specific. And of course,
Yeah.
some people see more than others because some people were more visual or whatever it may
I
be.
just wanna go back a little bit to what you were saying about what you realized, how we're all so connected, and we come in these different packages with each lifetime. We look different. We're different genders, different ethnicities, different whatever, but our soul was the same. Like, you still feel like you're you. And what I think for me, and it seems like you too, you learned that, like, our our package can look different, but, like, we've got so much inside. Each and every single one of us has so much to offer from the inside, and there's so many lessons to learn using those different filters of different hair, different ethnicity, different genders, and we learn those lessons through those different packages that we're wearing, you know? And I think it's so incredible because then you have a whole new insight on life. You look at people and you see them with their different missions and their different wants, desires, their loves, their hates, all of that, and you just see life in a completely different way.
Marty, I love that you just said that because I think the thing is that there's two things, right? I think we're you and I have certain missions in life and or certain purposes. I think for me, it's about spreading this message that we're all connected
Yeah,
and that differences are what make us beautiful because of what you just
absolutely.
said. I think you just said it
Absolutely.
so beautiful, beautifully, Marty.
Thank
Like, I
you.
couldn't have said it any better. I love
Thank
it.
you.
I love it.
I love it so much. Yay. Um, yeah, I mean, we have so many more stories, but I think that we're gonna be saving that for our next, episodes, specifically with Jerome, with, Robert Schwartz, with Deborah. We've got so many amazing stories that delve into past life regressions and our just kind of journey into realizing who we are, what our purpose is, and hopefully with these conversations we can help others find their purpose and their mission and their belonging in this world. Because I know it's brought us so much peace and happiness.
I'm just so excited to talk about all these different things and like even to, everything from past lives to auras to tarot to meditation to dreams to spirit guides. I mean, there is so much to discuss and to explore.
Explore and understand. Yeah. And it's limitless. And I cannot wait. This is the beginning of our journey, Cristina, and it's already so much fun.
And I'm so excited to do it with you.
Yes, same. Love you.
Love you.
Please like and share.
And you can subscribe at thecurioussoulpodcast.com for all things curious.